Assembly Member Christy Smith. Congratulations.
Thank you. Good morning, Carl. Good morning, Devin.
Welcome aboard. We've got Devin Miller here, too, from our news department, and thought we'd, first of all, congratulate you, but more importantly, talk to you about what your plans are, get to know your vision, and really get to know you and start making a connection with your Sacramento connection now. So, first of all, what happened when you realized you won?
It was a shocking moment. I had actually a really nice and very touching conversation with outgoing Assembly Member Dante Acosta. And he very graciously congratulated me. We both, ironically, experienced the loss of a parent at one point during our campaigns, and he mentioned to me that he thought my father would be proud. And I thanked him and Carolyn and their family for their service, to the community, to the country, certainly with the loss of his son, Rudy. And it was a really nice conversation. And then I just waited for him to make his concession on his terms, which he did very graciously. And it's still sinking in. The work starts right away, but the joy that people felt who had been part of the campaign, the kindness and generosity from people in the community who I'm looking so forward to working with, it's been really exciting.
Well, Dante Acosta is a class act, as we know you are. We've worked with you over the years when you served on the Newhall School Board. And for those just tuning in, our Assembly member, along with our state senator, are probably our two most important political figures here in Santa Clarita when it comes to the connection with the state and so much policy that happens with the state. And we have, talk about class with Assemblyman Dante Acosta, and prior to that, Scott Wilk, who's now our state senator, served in that seat, and prior to that, Cameron Smythe. And prior to that, Keith Richmond. And so we've had a history over the last 3 decades of just incredible representation in Santa Clarita. And all of them from different sides of the party, and they all come from different sides of the political spectrum, and I know you also are on a different side of the political spectrum. The good thing about all of them is they really took that extra step to bridge the gap and to try and come up with solutions instead of just polarization, and I know you're going to do the same thing. Absolutely,
and I think that's been one of the benefits of serving at the municipal government level here in the community, which Scott had and Cameron had, and Assemblymember Dante Acosta had. Is we in this community we value community. There's a great deal of pride in everything that we've accomplished here. The city is beautifully maintained. The number of nonprofit organizations that we all have the privilege of working with. So I think going to Sacramento with the commitment that I'm here to serve my constituents and this community is really what's significant, and knowing how well we do so many things here in this community really I think is going to drive some good decisions in Sacramento.
Now there's a cool connection here. Devin Miller went to school, and Santa Clarita's about a half step, not one step removed, half a step removed and connected. So Devin went to school with your oldest daughter?
With my oldest daughter, from kindergarten all the way through high school. Yeah, the connections in this community run strong and deep. One of the early congratulations I got was from Cameron Smythe, a fellow Hart High Indian. And I was at Hart when he was there, and also when his brother Colin were there. And in fact, it's Cameron Smythe's dad who helped inspire my desire to go into public service to begin with. I was student body president at Hart when he was superintendent of the William S. Hart District, and Governor Duke Majan and a number of officials were coming to town for the first time. It was this really, really big deal that we were going to have all these officials in one place for a luncheon. And Clyde Smythe had extra tickets to this event, and rather than bring colleagues or work partners, he reached out to what was then 3 local high schools and invited the ASB presidents of each of the local high schools to attend this luncheon. And somewhere in a signal page from way back when, there's a photo of me shaking hands with then Governor Duke Majan, and that really kind of sparked this lifelong love of politics and public service.
Very cool.
The community history here is rich and deep, and it's something that I'm glad that we all continue to value. As many new people as we've welcomed in from all over, Southern California and the world, we still have that hometown sense, and it's really nice.
Absolutely. It's still Mayberry RFD with over 300,000 people here.
Right.
So, Devin, do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, so what are your plans for the next few weeks? You're sworn in a couple weeks, and you get officially start office in January.
Right.
So what are your plans for the next few weeks? Are you going to talk with stakeholders, or what are your...
Yeah, so there's already some stakeholder meetings set up. I'll be meeting with the chamber and some local economic development folks, making sure that we've got everything in place to have a staff ready to go and an office set up. And then, throughout my campaign, I've offered this commitment, which I really plan to stand by, which is this idea of shared governance and roundtable governance. So making sure I'm reaching out across the spectrum of stakeholders in the community, make sure we're having ongoing meetings, opportunities for folks to be connected with my office so that I'm prioritizing legislation that really serves the community.
So you're going to get up to Sacramento very shortly. And by the way, we're chatting with our newest assembly member, Christy Smith, just elected in, and she'll be representing Santa Clarita. She covered you cover almost all of Santa Clarita. There's a little strip that Assembly Member Tom Lackey covers, but pretty much the predominant area for Santa Clarita Valley will be under your jurisdiction.
Correct.
And then you'll have an office here in Santa Clarita, but your district extends beyond Santa Clarita.
It's geographically huge. On the east, it goes all the way out to Acton Agua Dulce, and then on the west, all the way through Simi, across the 118 corridor. So in the San Fernando Valley, the LA City portion of the district is pretty sizable. The southern border is Devonshire. So it is a big geography. It's a lot of people. It's been great to get to know the area throughout the course of 2 campaigns and get to know stakeholders from across the region.
How many offices are you planning to set up?
I'm planning to have one. What I would like to do, though, is to have some kind of satellite availability in both Simi and the San Fernando portion of the district. So I'll see how we're able to facilitate that.
And you're envisioning have the main office, other than your Sacramento office, of course, your main office down here in Santa Clarita?
Likely be here, yeah,
Okay.
with days spent, of course, in the other regions as well.
Of course, and everyone flowing back and forth.
Right.
So your vision, you're going to get up there. It's a learning process
Sure.
and getting your feet wet. But what would you say your vision is? What would you like to accomplish over the next 2 years, Christy Smith?
I want to make sure that I'm supporting the phenomenal institutions that we already have in this community and backspotting them where they need help, whether it be our local school districts with funding issues with accessibility, to the disabilities community who are facing a number of challenges, work with our senior populations. I mean, one of the things that became very evident to me as I was out door-to-door canvassing is there's this kind of undercurrent of quiet struggle, particularly among our seniors, to continue to afford their medical coverage, their housing, and to stay here in this community where many of them have raised their own families and retired. But we don't want living here and being connected with those families to be out of reach for those folks. So making sure that we're talking about that we've got affordable housing solutions regionally. So that'll involve working with the city of Santa Clarita, of course, and local developers, as well as transportation and traffic. I mean, I think one of the things we all value here, though, so much is our quality of life. So everything that impacts quality of life in the region is going to be a high priority for me.
And I know you left out your number one priority, and that's education. That's dear to your heart. And,
absolutely.
And COC has done an incredible job. And COC really needs that Sacramento connection, but they've done an incredible job under the leadership of Diane Van Hook and making sure they make the most out of Sacramento.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking really, really forward to working with Dr. Van Hook again. I was an employee and a student at College of the Canyons many years ago, and she has been somebody I've idolized for a long time. What she's been able to accomplish with the college has been tremendous. And across the educational spectrum in Santa Clarita, we have great examples of how school systems should perform. And I want to take those examples and those models and connect that to other areas who maybe haven't shared that same level of success yet. But without a doubt, College of the Canyons, with its workforce readiness, with its visionary planning, the University Center, all things that I want to get behind and support.
We're talking with Assembly Member Christy Smith, your hometown station, KHTS. We're streaming this live over our website, of course, our phone app, and we are on Facebook Live if you'd like to hear this. If you're just tuning in right now, missed some of this, we'll be posting this as well. The polarization in Sacramento, we go up there every year. I know you've been on our KHTS Sacramento trip. The polarization is really challenging up there. And what we've seen with our assembly members and our state senators before is they've tried to bridge that gap, and it's an uphill battle. And you mentioned how you've done a good job of doing that with the school board, and we've seen that with you. So I think that's going to be your toughest challenge, is getting up there and not getting sucked into the polarization on one side or the other.
Right.
Having our state senator Scott Wilk there, who has done a really good job of bridging that gap and putting you under his wings, I think will help. Also, having you guys both represent different parties may be a plus in the end too, because you'll be able to navigate things on the Democratic side. He can navigate some things on the Republican side. Can you elaborate on that and how you see yourself fitting in?
Yeah, I mean, I think, clearly there's a difference between a personal political philosophy and then what constitutes good public policy. And what I've prided myself on is just being a skilled policy technician. And a lot of times those just aren't partisan matters. It's a matter of if you have the budget to cover a particular program, if you're ensuring that there aren't any unintended down the road consequences of a piece of legislation you might pass. Does it fit the needs of all of California and then your own constituency and your own district? So I am looking forward to working with Senator Wilk. He's been particularly good at navigating what has not been an easy climate for a diminishing, Republican caucus. But I will also say, as a former Republican, I do have concerns about what that dynamic looks like, because the best public policy comes out of really hearty debate. And I think it's essential. And so there may be times where I'm playing that role of looking at things from the other perspective and saying, hey, wait a minute, have we considered all of the options here? Have we philosophically grounded this in a way that makes sense for California's Constitution and citizens? So I'm looking forward to doing the work. But it's been very kind. Senator Wilk reached out very early on and graciously offered to help as well. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I believe that whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, sitting from my side, there are probably a lot of issues that you and I, on a national basis, disagree with or see differently.
Sure.
But we can, of course, agree to disagree on those. But I believe when it comes to Santa Clarita and the things that are important to Santa Clarita and the things that impact Santa Clarita, my suspicion is we'd probably agree on 99% of the items.
Sure,
there.
Absolutely. We probably do. And that's been, like I said, the great thing about having been an elected municipal official in this community. People get together and get on the same page when it's what's right for our hometown.
We're chatting with Assemblymember Christy Smith. Do you have any other final questions? I've got one tough one. I promised to be kind to Christy today, but I'm going to give her one tough one, but I'm going to save it for the end. So do you have anything you want to say, Devin, or just maybe just share from your perspective and from the news perspective what it's like to have Christy come in?
Well, Dante conceded a few days ago, and I know you've been in the community a long time. So how do you see yourself, how do you see yourself differing from Acosta? I know he's done a lot of good things, but how do you see yourself kind of going at a different direction in the assembly?
That's a really good question. The long and the short of it is he was in a challenging position being in the minority. And there might have been, he offered a couple of bills that I really thought were good pieces, particularly his foster youth grant bill. There are probably a number of things that we would have approached the same way. It'll just be a little bit easier for me because I'm a member of the majority caucus.
Yeah, and that's what's going to be interesting to see how you navigate through that up there, and also how you do that and still bridge and keep those connections on the Republican side. I think that's going to be your toughest challenge. You're going to get pulled in a variety of directions.
Sure.
But I believe you will be able to navigate through that.
Thank you.
So you ready for my tough
Yeah,
tough
what's
question?
the tough question?
Okay, and just to be transparent about this, you're not the only one I asked this. I've talked to most of the school superintendents about this and pushed it. So we have a brand new high school coming in next year.
Yes.
Castaic. They'll open next summer. They're going to have a football team, but it's going to take a number of years for that football team to evolve.
Right.
You yourself graduated from Hart.
Yes.
Which quite a history of football.
Quite a history of football at Hart, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to pin you down right now. What year do you think Castaic will beat Hart in football?
Oh, wow. Okay, so let's see. I'd probably give them 5 years, probably by 2024. Maybe?
Well, don't forget they're only going to have freshmen. So to help you a little bit, I think that's a little aggressive. You're being a good politician.
I don't know. I wish them all the best, and I think that the fact that Castaic High School is finally opening is such a great thing for that community and for those families. There's nothing like having your own neighborhood school to have a sense of pride in, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'll support the football program whenever they get there.
There we go. You'll be cheering for both sides.
Yeah.
One final question: with we talked about the growth here in Santa Clarita, up to 300,000. That's put all kinds of pressures on us. The plan over the next 10, 15 years is to take us up to 450,000. What's your vision in navigating through that? Where do you think you can help assist in the area of growth?
Absolutely making sure that we have the infrastructure resources necessary, that it doesn't impact our day-to-day lives. We want to make sure that we've still got the ability for folks to commute in and out of this valley easily and reasonably, and that means both public transportation and additional freeway access. But it also means making sure that locally I'm working with the Economic Development Corporation to ensure that there are great local jobs to go along with this increase in population. We want people to be able to work and live in their own hometown. So I'm looking forward to doing that work.
Well, good luck, Christy. We
Thank you.
look forward to many, many good things happening with you up in Sacramento, and we'll be talking again soon.
Sounds good.
Assemblymember Christy Smith here on your hometown station, special report. You can watch this entire interview going back onto our Facebook page or KHTS Radio and any of our apps. Of course, hometownstation.com. Carl Goldman with you, 9:51 here on your hometown station.
The best live theater can be